This is a Hewlett-Packard 4261 LCR meter. I decided I was going to buy a auto-ranging LCR meter rather than use the manual ranging Wanker that I use up here. So I found this on eBay, and it was up at a very high price, and I thought, well, I'm not even going to entertain that sort of price. I offered the seller half of what they were asking for it. And it was listed up for £200, which is actually, if you look on eBay, if you see any more of these, that is about the going price. So I offered them, well, I actually offered them half that, £100. Didn't get a response for about 2 weeks, and then I got a response back saying they were happy to take the £100 if I would pay the postage. So I negotiated the postage, and the deal was done. So I waited for this meter to turn up, and the meter turned up. It was the day before yesterday, actually, and it turned up in a plastic bag with one layer of bubble wrap around it. So of course, straight away you think, well, that's not going to be in one piece. So you open it up, and sure enough, there's a bloody great dent in the side, like some of my amplifiers seem to be received, and two of the switches are broken off the front. So basically I thought, well, the missing handle. So I thought, well, considering I offered £15 for the postage, and it got wrapped up in a piece of bubble wrap in a plastic bag, I thought, I don't want it, so I'll send it back. So I contacted the seller and said, look, if you're going to wrap them in a plastic bag with a bit of bubble wrap, you can't expect them to arrive in one piece. I said the unit's damaged, and apparently it was her father's. It used to belong to her father. Obviously her father's passed on or something, and she was selling this. I said, you can't expect it to arrive in one piece, so I'd like a refund, and I'll send you the LCR meter back. And kept it polite, but I must admit, I was bloody angry, because I've been waiting for it to turn up, thinking it was going to be a nice piece of kit, and it was a bit of an old wreck when I got it. Anyway, cut a long story short, she was very apologetic and said no problem with the refund. And she said, oh, and you can keep the meter. She said, she said my father would like to have known that it had gone to someone who was going to use it. So, in all decent, I mean, she was pretty decent. She refunded. She didn't quibble about the damage. I sent her some photographs of the damage and explained, the switches are broken, and replacement switches are probably impossible to find. So what ended up with the refund, which was nice, and luckily I've still got the meter. So I am going to have a quick look at it, see if I can do any repairs to it. I mean, because I don't want to just write off a meter that's got a couple of buttons missing, and actually they're only the range hold buttons anyways. But I'm going to take it apart because I think it's been bashed about a bit. I want to make sure that there's nothing damaged inside. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top off it, and we'll have a look inside and see what state it's in. It's a good sort of warning to anyone who's sort of buying electronic test equipment from anyone, and it's got to be posted. From now on, I'm going to insist that if they're going to post the stuff to me, I want to know that it's packed properly, maybe double boxed, or at the minimum a single box, and some proper packing, especially around all the switches where they're vulnerable to being knocked and broken. Well, okay, well, that's the inside of it, and first off, it all looks absolutely fine. So all the boards are all plugged in nicely. Everything looks, at first glance, okay, and there's no sort of internal structural damage I can see. What I will do at some point is I will remove the front cover and just check to see if I can get the switches, see if I can repair these switches. You can see the way they've been bashed about, but I see the way that connector's half hanging off. That's a classic sign it's been just thrown down. That's what they do in these delivery places. They make out that they look after your equipment, but as soon as it's out of your sight, they drop kick them into the van and things like that. I mean, I've seen it done, actually. I've seen it done with vans turn up at work, and they're trying to get to a box that they want to deliver to us, so they just throw a box that's right the back of the van right to the front again, and you think, well, you don't know what's in there, but they don't care. You know, these van drivers get paid pittance anyway, so they don't care if the unit's damaged or not, or what it is. Okay, so let's plug it in, let's power it up and see what we get. Okay, well, that's not a good sign. Jittering about display. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's working, does it? Got some serious ranging problems. So what I'll first try and do is I'll just reinsert the boards. Plug the boards in and reinsert them, just make sure they're seated correctly. I mean, that could simply be that one of these boards is not got a bare connection on it. Just reseat the boards. See, these ones are just broken off, so that could be. They do tend to go brittle with age, actually, these sort of boards. But let's pull that board out. It's important when you pull the board, you put it somewhere where you're not going to cause any stress. It could be that the thing needs recapping, or it's, you know, got a lot of ripple on the mains. But she did say it was working, you know, so that's another thing. I'm not so worried now. No smell of sort of leaking electrolyte or anything. But you know, if she said it was working, you sort of still expect it to work. Wriggle these boards out, they don't feel like they've been out for a while. This is the display board by the looks of it. It's all plugged in okay. Okay, switch it back on and try it. Oh, well, that looks better straight away, doesn't it? So it's obviously a badly seated board. Okay, so we've got some sort of settling of the display now. So let's find a capacitor to just plug into it and see if we can get any readings. So let me grab a capacitor. Here's a suitable capacitor. So we're in the capacitive range. We've got a capacitor voltage of 1 volt by looks like test signal level, I think that is. We'll do it at 120 Hertz, it's a large electrolytic. I think well, let's just plug it in and see what we get first off. So this is the negative bias and this is the positive bias. Okay. Oh, that thing died straight away, so that's not a good sign. So what the hell was that? Whew. And what was that, a capacitor gone? Checking to make sure I got it on 240 volts. That sounds like it, yeah, that's one of those classic the main suppression capacitors that fail short circuit and just blow up. Let's open the workshop door. So what we'll do is, for the minute, we'll just cut that out of the circuit. Where are we? Has it blown the fuse? Can't see if it's blown the fuse or not. But what I will need to do is I'll cut that capacitor out of the circuit so it's not posing a problem to the unit. There's half the capacitor. There it is. You see that? Bloody things. They're great up to a point, and then when they fail, they really do fail. They're supposed to have a serious resistor in them to limit the current, but they still go up with a bloody bang when they fail. I had that in one of the quad amplifiers as well. And so let's just cut that capacitor out. Don't want that in the circuit. It's still nice and warm. So let's try again. Plug it back in. Don't think it blew the fuse, but we'll have to just check. Okay, so it has blown the fuse. I don't think it's blown the fuse to my isolation transformer. Pop the fuse out of here. Luckily, it's good in some ways because it's obviously on the primary side of the supply, so it shouldn't have done any damage at all to the unit. Yep, that's blown. That's, what is that? It's a 250 milliamp. So let's grab a fuse and quite a nice smell, that capacitor. It's almost like a firework. What have we got here? 3 amps. I need my glasses. See what I'm looking at. So we'll chuck another fuse in it and we'll power it back up and see if that capacitor range settles down. Well, that's a 1 amp. That's a bit nearer. Can't find a 500 milliamp. Most of my fuses are 100 milliamp. I'll just pop that. That's a 1 amp. Okay, let's go for 1 amp for the time being, and we can always change that if it's a problem. If I think it's drawing too much current, which I don't think it is. But it just goes to show. She said she's plugged it in and tried it and it worked. Well, I didn't want to plug it in for very long. Okay. So it's up and running again. Let's try again. So we're getting positive bias. 20 microfarads. 25. Okay, it's messing around a bit. Let's try it on a higher frequency. I'm getting pretty erratic readings, I must admit. I will leave the unit running for a while. This is supposed to be 47 microfarad. Now, I think it tests on the Wayne curve with 47 microfarad. But we'll just check. Make sure this cap isn't actually dry. I thought these are new old stock caps, so it should be fine. Okay, the Wayne reckons is around 44 microfarad. The Wayne is pretty accurate. So let's reconnect this up again. I did have it the right way, I'm sure. It is out of range. So let's go to display's very dim. It's almost like it's clearly not working properly. This is a sampling light over here. Now it's in automatic mode for the circuit mode. So what I really need to just take the front panel off and fix that, so we can try it at higher voltage. So it looks to me like it's not accurate on the higher value capacitors. Let's just find a non-electrolytic. Let's turn this on to try and. I was going to turn that on to get rid of some of this acrid smoke in here. Okay, let's try a smaller capacitor and see what that does. 0.33 UF. Let's see what that comes up with. Okay, struggling with ranging. Let's put it on high frequency. I really can't work out how to wire this. So it's either out of calibration or there's an actual problem with the rig. So, alright, so it looks like it works to a degree. Once it's decided to blow itself up. Let's get the front off. Let's have a quick look here. See how easy it is to get into this thing. So what we've got here that we need to disconnect. Pull these connectors off. This is the obviously the drive for the front panel. And there's the front panel connections there that you see. So what I need to do is I need to remove all this front panel to gain access to the rest of the front panel and try and repair the switches. Now I think at this point I'll stop the video and we'll try and get the front panel off and I'll continue from there.